All right, boys, we're back. Week 2. Let's get it. Let's just hop right into it. We got Joe and Graham kicking us off here. All right. So we see the Terrifier Scarf Typhlosion Eruption turn 1. Beautiful. Little backstory into this game is that neither team really has a switch in. As you can see, nothing is defensive. Pretty sure every single mon on both sides, I think with the exception of Iron Treads, its highest stat is either in speed or in attack. I think Iron Tread's technical highest stat is in defense. Don't quote me on that, but either way, extremely offensive teams. And yeah, so there's really not a whole lot of switching in that's going to be happening here. Typhlosion, Graham decides to stay in and do a good chunk with that. I mean, really not the worst play at the end of the day. You know, Shadow Ball or Sludge Bomb could have came out, so it's tough to call, you know, going Golden Go. Or maybe even like a Landorus. But, you know, if it's a Shadow Ball, you're taking a lot of chip pretty unnecessarily. So you can kind of see what he is in here. And since Sludge Bomb went first, he knows it's Scarfed. So that's a safe switch into Golden Go. And he actually gets Joe switching out here. Presumably on a Golden Go switch in. You know, you determine off of turn 1 that Typhlosion has to be Scarfed because it's faster than Treads. And then you went for a Sludge Bomb, so you would have expected the Golden Go to come in. So this play didn't make a whole lot of sense. It would have made more sense to go into like Low Kicks or, yeah, maybe even Roaring Moon at this point. Because you just double right back out here. I'm not totally sure what you expected. Maybe you just didn't expect to get another roll on Sludge Bomb, but I mean, you were pretty much on the positive side of that. Anyway, we'll talk about where it actually gets to matter here. There's one turn in particular. So yeah, this is dual screens Golden Go, and it takes basically nothing from that Shadow Ball after the light screen. All right, so it's 6-4 here. Roaring Moon comes in, eats up its booster energy. And the hard switch to Thunderous. Yeah, so this is probably more advanced in just knowing likely coverage moves that you know, Roaring Moon is going to be having. I think Hydreigon just kind of covers it best initially, and then you can switch into something afterwards. It gets a little dicey, but you do have screens up, so like, you know, it's likely that a Crunch or an Earthquake were coming out on that turn. Yeah, I really like Thunderous in the late game here. This is an agility set, and since there's not a whole lot of mons left, I'd probably try to just preserve this and get an agility up late game to prevent any sort of quick wavel shenanigans. So going like Landorus there probably would have been pretty clean. Yeah, I think that probably would have been the play. With a Reflect Up, you're not going to die in 2 hits anyway. It's going to do similar damage as it did to Thunderous there, and then you force it out with a Focus Blast or an Earth Power or whatever, or at least get chip on it so Thunderous can end up killing it later in the game. Now, Jomis is a pretty huge headbutt there, especially because this Focus Blast hits. I don't know what the Zen Headbutt was trying to catch that Crunch didn't catch. Yeah, that may have just been a misclick, because I don't know why you click Zen Headbutt there when Crunch is only resisted by 1 mon and it's immune to Zen Headbutt. So yeah, I mean, you know, Graham's taking advantage of it, gets the Focus Blast hit. That one would have been pretty huge. If he hit the Focus Blast there, I don't think it actually kills, because I believe this is a pretty bulky Low Kicks, but that's really good chip anyway. So yeah, that would have been a very big hit. All right, Lever comes in. This was an intentional sack on Joe's end. Felt like he wasn't going to be able to do a lot with an Amorous, which debatable, I guess, with the Scarf Typhlosion, and you don't know it yet, but this is Scarf Hydreigon. That, yeah, maybe an Amorous was pretty expendable, but this meant he would have got a setup opportunity here with Quick Wavel to just start Aqua Stepping. All right, so this turn, just 76 with Aerial Ace, big damage. Okay, Sash on Cleaver. We've seen it come in and use 2 moves, and it ate a Focus Sash. This could not be any more evidence that it is not Scarfed. There's no way that Cleavor is scarfed. So Joe's at +1 speed after that. To outspeed Typhlosion, he needs +2 speed. Okay, goes for the Aqua Jet there. I think Aqua Step was super free and definitely just won the game immediately. At this point, Quaquavel's only at 1.5 times speed. What Graham needs to do is go into Hydreigon here, because he just showed Aqua Jet. Now, I get it, in the heat of the moment, you're running low on time. This decision can sometimes get a little muddy because you didn't read Aqua Jet, you just saw Aqua Step. They have different animations. Obviously, you can just hover over the mon and you can see what moves it's used. But at +1 attack for Moxie, Typhlosion's going to die to an Aqua Jet. So you have to go Hydreigon here, outspeed. You can click basically any button at this point, and Quaquavel's going to go down at 18%. What happens here is that Typhlosion goes down to Aqua Jet, and then still at 1.5 speed, can still go into Hydreigon. And then you go into Golden Go. And that was game. Because now at ×2 speed, Quaquavel just outspeeds everything, and that's GG. Had he gone Hydreigon any of the 2 turns prior, I don't know how the game ends, because, there's still some really solid pieces here, and like a first impression is obviously going to do a lot of damage regardless to everything that he has left. I don't even know. It might do 45 to Typhlosion because of the tinted lens, but yeah, so like Joe was probably still in the driver's seat, but like Graham had definitely a couple opportunities to not get into a Quaquavel, Moxie sweep sort of action. But yeah, GG. It was a fun game. Turn 14, that was really the decider, and it kind of flip-flopped a little bit. But yeah, let's just hop back into Cordell and E here. All right. Volt Switch, presumably a Scarf Rotom. Going before a Screamtail. Rocks come up. Now, I talked to E about this week, that Weakness Policy Great Tusk, if he is in a position where he can get a Rapid Spin up, goes so incredibly hard. The calcs were just ridiculous. It was OHKOing everything at ×2. At +1 speed, with like a Jolly Nature, it outsped everything, including Dragapult. Just ridiculous. And he has the perfect opportunity here to go for a Rapid Spin. Yep. I mean, I don't know, like, if I'm Cordell, like, going Dragapult on a likely knockoff in that situation is, like, such a crackhead play, but that was probably the only way to prevent this at this point. The only other option would be if that's a choice-banded Sucker Punch Cinderace, and he's somehow able to get Great Tusk defenses low enough where Sucker Punch is going to kill at 47%. Also, a static off of Zapdos. I guess, like, the optimal thing to do would have been go Cinderace and then switch into... Or actually, probably going Ting-Lu and then switching into Zapdos on a close combat. That way you can live one, and it forces 2 chances to proc static. But, I mean, at the same time, you lost Screamtail, Ting-Lu, and you're going to lose your Zapdos as well. So, like, those are 3 massive pieces into the rest of the East team, and, like, King Gambit and Greninja just looked like they win at that point anyway. So, yeah, it just worked to perfection. Yeah, I can't believe it was that good. But, yeah, not a whole lot to talk about there. We'll just move on. All right, Tom and Berg. Okay, yep, switching to Azuel. Good call on the Boom Burst. That way, you didn't just whiff a Draco there, get some good chip, and Azu just does so much damage. Talking to Berg and Prep about this week, Gallade looked good into Tommy's 10. It looked really good, actually. Like, Sharpness is just so strong, and with an Agility, it would outspeed everything, including, like, Booster Energy Valiant. I don't think we sped crept Noivern at all with it, like a Scarf Noivern, but +1 Valiant at least. And yeah, Gallade just looked really, really good. Now, I told Berg, there's not a ton of things that Gallade can set up on Tom's team. Generally, he'd be able to do it in front of like Clodsire or Slowking, assuming it came in for free. because, you know, Psychic and Fighting is neutral into Psychic moves and whatever, and the game's going to be over if it gets Toxic or, you know, a weak EQ hits it, like, whatever. That's fine. So, Berg makes an insane play here and goes into Glade raw on... I mean, that could have just been a likely Slowking sack, and, you know, you go for an attack there, and now Glade's in a position with, like, Life Orb recoil plus that damage that it might not be able to pick up as much, because, like, this is the end game. You know, that's what we're all working towards here. So that double ends up going crazy because Tommy sees that I think, is Banded Azu, and goes into the Great Fairy Resist. Even if you went Clodsire on the Glade double, that's fine too, like, that's a free agility. But this allows... Berg just to go for the Sacred Sword, get a little bit chip, nice chip, and now he can go for the agility here on Noivern, and this is kind of the turn that decided the game. Yeah, big crit out of Psycho Cut. Now it's a high crit move, but it's still only 1 in 8 to do that. If that doesn't crit, I think Glade still lives like any hit, but it's not going to be able to completely sweep the team because with Life Orb recoil, it's going to lose. Tommy's still in a really bad position regardless, after this got agility. You know, say Noivern did some damage to it, you throw something else in, you probably have to sack 1, if not 2 Mons, and now you're playing like a 3v5 until Glade goes down with recoil. And Berg still has his big 3 alive, who's Dragon Fairy Steel Core. That's just going to be so hard to kind of work around still. But yeah, Glade just is putting in work here. Sacred Sword, Peace. I mean, it's kind of the same thing with Cordell and E. It's tough when you get in this position where you just see the avalanche coming down the slope towards you, and you can't really get out of the way. Like, with this being on Life Orb recoil timer, like the optimal thing, which I don't expect anybody to see, and I, you know, only see this now that I'm analyzing the game, is like going into Heatran, baiting a Sacred Sword on your switch into Clodsire, baiting a Psycho Cut back into Slowking or Heatran, you know, something like that where you can kind of burn a little bit more. You're going to lose all those pieces still, and it's not going to be an easy game, but, and, you know, it maybe still has enough health. I guess you can get it into Shadow Sneak range at some point, which it somehow still avoided. It only took 39% from that, so that's crazy. But yeah, I mean, Berg, that double, I mean, that was a massive crackhead play, and it paid off. It was really clean. All right, me and Ty. I didn't really like a lot of my matchups into him. Slowking with Assault Vest obviously was really solid, especially into his like powerful special attackers like Bundle and Moth. I didn't expect Scissor to come. I didn't think it looked that good into me, and I wasn't too worried that it was there. It did make it a little tougher to get like a Dragon Dance sweep going with Haxorus, because he can just pick me off with priority, of course. But at the end of the day, I wasn't too concerned about that, and I was anticipating a Calm Mind, either Florges or Uxie this week, so I ran Acid Spray on my Slowking. That's just a little backstory into the team builder here. I lead off Scarf Urshifu, bring Meowscarada down to Sash. I'm like, all right, lit. I can just go Orthworm. I don't really care about what he does. It would have been, I mean, I was assuming a Flower Trick was coming out there. That would have been, you know, either a Flower Trick or a knockoff. Flower Trick made the most sense, so that's why I went Wormy. It would have been absolutely insane if I went into Hatterene. It probably wouldn't have changed the game a whole lot, but yeah. I'll trade leftovers for Meowscarada all day. This, I went for Shed Tail in case he wanted to go for an SD and get a little aggressive. I wasn't anticipating at any point to get a Shed Tail off this game, like even in the team builder, but that was just a preventative play to stop any sort of like a SD action. So I'm just getting some chip here. I needed that chip for a Haxorus eventually, and then I misplayed here. I don't know what I was smoking. I could have just went into Urshifu, but I guess I forgot my set or whatever, and I didn't have Hurricane. I mean, this is like the freest Hurricane this side of the Mississippi, but what is he switching into that, right? He's not switching Uxie in on a Dark Pulse. He's not switching in Scissor to eat this or whatever. Dark Pulse isn't going to kill at this range. So total misplay on my part. Really, really bad misplay. So essentially, he gets like an ice spinner off into me and puts me in range of bullet punch from scissor. That was just such a bad play on my part. But all right, crit, bullet punch, whatever. I did it again. I just gotta attack what's in front of me when I'm playing Ty. Did this in Season 2 at a Galarian Darmanitan in front of a Gliscor. Could have just clicked the ice move and been in such a good position, but I predicted the switch and he stayed in, and same thing here. I went for an aggressive U-turn, figuring he would know I had Fire Punch. And he's red card. So I already knew that he was going to have Thief on this. Like, as soon as I saw it in the team preview, I was like, all right, he's going to have Bullet Punch, he's going to have Thief. You know, it could be any sort of combination of like SD, close combat, U-turn, pounce, something like that, right? But I knew Thief was coming, just because, like, that was the only thing that made Scissor look a little bit more threatening into my team. And I get red carded straight into Slowking on the Thief. And that was GG at this point. I really lost a reliable bundle switch, and also I lost something that can handle a Calm Mind Uxie. With an Assault Vest on, and especially given Uxie's set this week, yeah, I could have just sat in there and acid sprayed it, future sighted, you know, kept acid spraying, yada yada, whatever. But I no longer have that, and I just have to sack my Jugulus to get Regenerator back up to possibly not lose the game. I go back into it, forgetting I just lost my Assault Vest, and now I'm actually in range of a Specs Hydro Pump. Thankfully, he doesn't go for it, but at this point, like, the game's looking bad. I'm still thinking maybe Hatterene can do something with, like, Terra Steel. And yeah, he gives me Scissors. I was like, all right, cool, bet. So I go Hatterene here on possible close combat, but I'm physically defensive, so I'm not too worried about, you know, whatever he's going for. I go for the Trick Room there. It probably... Yeah, I guess that doesn't really change anything because I can't Calm Mind anyway. Yeah, I mean, I think the game was over once Glow King lost its AV. But yeah, he's just going to be able to block me from clicking Draining Kiss and Calm Mind, and I don't have a switch in. Yeah. I can't really do a whole lot here. I'm going to speed this up because, like, really the only play at this point is to somehow get him to Calm Mind on my switch. Right? I got to switch when he clicks Calm Mind, because if he attacks at this point, I don't have enough health, or I'm giving him like a Draining Kiss heal with a super effective hit into either of these guys. Right, so it was basically over at this point. Really great set running Imprison. It was a really smart call. So yeah, kudos to Ty on that one. I mean, and the red card, I'm not taken away from that at all. He just got the best possible pool on the red card. If it went into anybody else, I mean, I don't know if it goes into whatever, like, how the game ends up turning out, but I know I needed Assault Vest on Slowking still, so that was tough. Yeah, okay, well, I'm pretty sure nothing else really happens here. Yeah, okay. Alright, well, that was it. So we'll go on to MJC and Dodge in their totally real game. I don't know if anybody saw it. I didn't see it, but rumor has it MJC beat Dodge with a single Doug trio before this in their warm-up match. Legend has it. That was pretty funny. MJC and Dodge just wanted to do a little exhibition, and he brought Air Balloon Ditto, or Air Balloon Doug trio into 6 Dittos, and only had ground moves, so none of Dodge's Dittos could hit it. Alright, and yeah, with their teams, they brought their lowest 6-point value mons. Thankfully, both Terra Captains were able to make the cut, so that's pretty cool. I'm confused about a mechanic here. We see the Future Sight on turn 1. Bronzong does not have any boosts. My calc, and let me check the team paste. This is a Tasty Nature. I don't know if this is bugged, because according to Bulbapedia, it should not work this way. But when this Future Sight lands, it has Bronzong's ×2 special attack, and it OHKOs Frostlass. The calc on that, it was not supposed to do that. It was supposed to do about 55%. Like, the only way it did it was if Dodge was running a negative special defense nature with 0 IVs in special defense and, like, 12 or less IVs in HP, which nobody changes. So, like, that was never going to be an option. So, like, I want to say this is actually bugged on the site right now. I don't think Future Sight works that way. But, you know, MJC will take it, that's for sure. Going Lucario here. Yeah, I guess with SD and CC, you can do a good chunk. I probably would have just went into, like, Ditto, because Bronzong's not really doing a whole lot to me here. Yeah, the burn from Will-O-Wisp means you can't sleep it. Yeah, I mean, I guess Lucario's not the worst thing to do. Future Sight, Calm Mind, Protect. Yeah, because now you gotta eat that Future Sight. That's just gross, man. So much. Miss Magi's lives a bullet punch. It's crazy. The Miss Magi is set here. That's no bulk either. And then MJC luck will never stop. If Dodge missed that sleep powder, that would have been so funny. But yeah, FYI guys, if you Terra into an electric type, it does not mean your Thunderbolts are guaranteed to para. It looks cool. Not how it works, however. But yeah, at this point, the line is just trying to get some chip down. Future Sight isn't going to hit anything. Or actually, is it at the end of this turn that it hits? Oh yeah, it is. Gross. Future Sight put in so much work. And then the turn 2 wake up. The 1 turn sleep. Bringing him down with Destiny Bond. That's so fucked up. I do love me some sub-toxic action. Kind of like the sub-leech seed sets on Whimsicott. Because if Prankster does not care about that Dragon Dance boost, Grafaiai is still going to be faster. And between Protect and Substitute, it's never going to get hit, and it has more than enough health to outstall Iron Thorns. Which is a very frustrating thing to play against. And Dodge losing all these pieces, the only thing you can go into is Ditto, which can't even do anything to Grafaiai. I guess, yeah, like, you just kind of parting shot your way out of there. It's the 4 moves, the passive Grafaiai, putting in work. The Magnezone putting up Electric Terrain to boost the Quark Drive, and then Dodge Terras out of it. I mean, like, I can see, like, the body press coming there, so, like, Terra Ghost makes some sense. But yeah, I think MJC was never going to just stay in with Magnezone at that point. Volt Switch was probably pretty fine. Even on a DD, just Volt Switch out into Hawlucha on the next turn. But yeah, I like the Terra Ghost. That actually made a lot of sense this week. And yeah, unfortunately, copying Hawlucha with Unburden, that's tough, because your Ditto still has its Choice Scarf, so Acrobatics isn't boosted. Meanwhile, their Hawlucha is unburdened, so it's faster than your Ditto now, and it has the stronger Acrobatics. So even with that times 1.5 defense, it's still enough to OHKO. But yeah, GG's everybody. Great week. Fun week. Rivalry week is done. Yeah, catch you guys in week 3. Let's get those games done. Peace.